Ah, you got the hardcover. Wow. Yeah. I'm impressed.
So fine. Not too many. And then people don't let them go so easily.
Perfect. All right.
Hello.
How are you?
Can you hear me?
Beautiful. You
Sounds good?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
You know, I gave you the option to hear your own.
No, I don't want to hear my own voice.
The dulcet tones.
No. Whenever I hear myself on the radio, I'm like, that's what I sound like. That I can't even. It's not at all what it sounds like in my head.
It sounds good though.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting. I've just started offering, and most people don't want to, because most wisely don't want to hear their voice. It usually doesn't. But Barbara Koppel, you know Barbara Koppel,
yes,
of her reputation.
Yes, of course.
But she definitely wanted to. But she's
probably she knows the technical stuff. You know, the timbre of my voice is not.
Well, it's nice to meet you, Daniel.
Nice to meet you too.
Yeah, thank you. It's a podcast about film, but I'm just as happy to bring on a graphic novelist and, well, in your case, also screenwriter. Have you considered directing yet? Or is that something that you have to consider doing?
You know, when we were making Ghost World, I thought, after this I should direct my own film, because I really felt like I had all this stuff to impart and control freakism to inflict on everybody else, and I thought, I need to direct. And by the end of that, I thought, that's not something I ever want to do.
No,
it's I could see how, Terry would have this vision of how he wanted something to look, and then you have, the set dresser coming in with their own vision, and then the cinematographer say, we can't shoot from that angle, and then everything becomes such a compromise that by the end, you're just sort of like, it's just a tenth of what you hoped it was going to be, and that's just not, I would go insane if I had to work. I have complete control over the comics, and I love that.
I can dig that. I guess, ironically, maybe in a real super low budget independent film, you wouldn't have quite that level, because you're, when you are dealing, as you're referring to, a larger budgeted film, and it doesn't have to even be a super budget, but you're going to have you're going to have a real professional type of cinematographer you're going to be working with, who brings a lot of experience and ego.
Yes.
I mean, when I say ego, I don't even in a bad way.
No,
it's
no.
like, this is like, I'm a professional,
and deserved ego.
And and I want to have a significant contribution to the film, et cetera. When you're at an indie budget level, it's I think the director really has far more.
The only film control I can think of that's made in a way I would feel comfortable with is Eraserhead, where they spent 8 years living in a compound, basically living on the set, putting all the time they needed into getting it exactly right. And just a bunch of almost a cult of hippies, making a film, and that's a way I could see you could really get your vision across. But I don't know. I don't feel like it's something I need to do. I hate the idea of having to work under pressure. I hate the idea of having to get up at 6 a.m. and then you have to have a brilliant idea, that's going to make this scene work. I'm not that guy. I've never worked in theater. I was never even in the high school theater, troupe or anything like that. So I just don't. It's not my world really. I like the writing. I like writing the screenplays, and I like drawing the comics, and I like going to the seeing the movie when it's done.
And do you like to meet your fans or your readers, or do you enjoy that part of it too, connecting with them?
I do. Yeah, I love that part. I mean, I don't do it that often, but yeah, I mean, I do it whenever a book comes out, and I feel like it's always a completely new group of people reading it. So it's always interesting.
Is that right?
Yeah. So I never have a fixed idea of who's reading this stuff. I used to, when I was doing the comics years ago, if I'd be at a comic convention or something, I'd see somebody walk in, I go, that's one of mine, and I would know it. And then
just from the look of the person?
Just by the look, immediately. Yeah, just immediately, their haircut, whatever. But now, it's.
Yeah, I won't put you on the spot and ask you to describe what that person looks
like. I could do the 1990 version, as you can sort of imagine.
Well, I'm thinking of Ghost World and the girls in that, and specifically the one that Thora Birch in the film version adaptation played. And for some reason, I'm thinking, and she kind of reprises, in a sense, at least what I imagine her to be, as the daughter in Wilson.
It's certainly, she's sort of the next generation of Enids in a way.
Yeah. Do you see these worlds as or your the different characters and different stories populating the same universe or it's not even.
I do, yeah, I do. Someday I want to do a grand unified story where they all meet.
Super League
somehow.
of your mind, from your mind. That's scary. I mean,
it is
that's
scary.
Exciting to think about. Before you mentioned David Lynch, actually, or you referred to one of his films anyway, and I was just thinking about if that was a let's see, that came out in the very beginning of the 80s or late 70s.
Eraserheads is like
80s?
mid 70s. Yeah.
Oh, even then, going back earlier.
Yeah, I saw it when I first went to art school in 1979.
Oh wow, okay.
Back when they showed it at the Waverly Theater downtown in New York at midnight,
which now is called the IFC Center, but it was before that the Waverly.
And I used to go every week. I was one of those guys who would be there every week, and you'd look around and see all these famous artists, and like I remember sitting next to H.R. Geiger, the alien guy.
Yeah, of course. Just the idea of recognizing him. Or you could be like, Robert Rauschenberg or all these, whereas downtown and, everybody.
Yeah, back then.
Laurie Anderson.
Yeah.
Who knew? Watching some, dark comedy at the Waverly.
Yeah.
So did you go to? You say you went to art school?
I went to Pratt.
You did? Oh, very, very good. Okay, Pratt in Brooklyn. Before Brooklyn was Brooklyn.
Yeah, it was
when it was
a very
Brooklyn.
different world. It was it was dystopian. It was really. I remember when the movie Escape from New York came out. Everybody was like, "This will happen."
Yeah.
We were 100% sure it was headed that way.
I think, and I'm pretty sure Pratt is close to Myrtle Avenue, which used to be called
Murder Avenue.
Exactly. So that's scary. So was Lynch one of those artists that maybe had some impression on you then? Significant, I guess.
That movie for sure, Eraserhead, was beyond huge, because it really was. That was what I felt like you could always do in art, and I had never really seen that kind of where you're almost interpreting like a Twilight Zone kind of early 60s black and white television weirdness that you grow up with into this much more intense, deeper, personal, dreamlike vision. And to see it done so perfectly, I opened up all the realm of possibility for anything you could do after that.
Wow. I guess that, what did they say? I was going to say, somehow Mel Brooks looked at that movie decided, that he should make his next film.
Mel Brooks is a genius to have seen that.
Yeah, very true. Well, we only have a few more minutes. This is a very, very short but enjoyable conversation. But Wilson is, this isn't your latest, but this is the latest in a series now this is the third adaptation.
Yes.
And which will catapult you to the next. Well, I think this was such a... Mostly I think based on Woody Harrelson, just obviously got it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you how much time you spent with him.
I spent zero time. I went to the set after they had filmed almost half the film.
Oh.
So he was very much locked into the way he was playing it. And
sure.
It's all his vision and Craig Johnson. But,
yeah.
But yeah, Woody brought to it this kind of earnest folksiness that's in the character.
Yeah.
That's very hard to do unless you really are that guy.
Mm-hmm.
He really brought himself into it, and in a way that I think is so huge for making it work.
Well, it was a keeping also for all three adaptations are, I think, successful in their own right,
weird way.
In their own weird way. None of them seem to have kind of compromised.
No,
I can see the differences between the movie, of course, and the book, or the the graphic novel. But I don't see a cheat on or some sort of, in terms of the integrity of what you're.
No, I hope not.
At all.
I hope not. That's all I would ever ask for.
Yeah. Well, can I ask you to sign this?
Yeah, of course.
Is that cool?
That's totally cool.
Thank you. I have a copy of your. Do we need an? I think plenty of.
I have a pencil.
I have pens too.
Pen?
And
right.
so if you, I don't know if there's one that you normally type.
Do we need to say this into the microphone?
Yeah. This is more about what the show is about than. Oh, I've got. Thanks. There's this kind.
Okay.
And then I have an actual Sharpie.
I'm not picky.
I have Sharpies too, but I don't know whatever.
Let's do the Sharpie.
Okay. That's kind of like. Hopefully that works.
Interesting shop talk for the fans.
That's right. Well, this is because, of course, people that are going to discover this segment
And we'll see if we
don't know how strange my
Sharpie sound.
That's pretty good.
That was exciting.
That it was. For some of us, that is actually. The Wilson is in theaters.
March 24th.
March 24th, coming right up. That means I'm going to be busy these next few days editing this together. It's going to be easier. You gave me no work to do. You're a great subject. So let's try to do it again.
That'd be fun.
When we have a little bit more time.
Talking to you.
Thank you very much.
All right, sir.